So I would like to welcome you to this webinar, which is called From Single to Soulmate. And thank you very much for coming today. I know how much information there is out there. And so I always feel very honored when people choose to come to one of my webinars. And I do take that responsibility very seriously to deliver for you as much value as I possibly can in the time that we have available to help you. I usually talk for a while, ask some questions as we go along, and then at the end, I will open up for questions. If you have a burning relationship issue that you would like to ask me, then that would be the time to ask that. And as I say, I do endeavor to give you the kind of information that is going to actually really change things for you completely. I mean, really shift the pivot of your lives, because the fact that you are here at this webinar means that you have not yet found your soulmate. And I'm going to share with you the statistics are that if you are 25 and above, 1/3 of people of the marriageable age will not ever be married or in a marriage partnership style relationship. So you need to be aware of that, because it's really important that you learn to take the kind of actions that I'm going to talk about in this webinar today to really change things for yourselves. Otherwise, the fact that you're here means that this is important to you. So I can only encourage you to really take the necessary actions to make the changes in your lives. And again, if you are in your kind of mid-20s, late 20s, 30s or above, and you're not yet in the kind of relationship that is a soulmate relationship, then there are probably some things going on that you need to shift and you need to focus on and learn about for yourselves, about who you are. So the plan of the webinar today is that I'm going to give you some information, some strategies, suggestions, and ideas that you can start to implement straight away. And we're also going to do some processes together. Does that sound like a good idea? Are you there? Let me get some responses from you. Need to hear you. Let's hear some responses in the chat. Then I don't feel so lonely. I feel like, yes, there are people there. So you're going to have to engage with me in the chat. Good. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, great. You're there. You're listening. That's good to know. Very good. Good. Excellent. All right. Great. So, let's see. There's nothing to buy here today. It's completely free. And I will talk to you at the end about how I can potentially help you further if you want me to. And very excitingly, I'm very excited today because I have got a couple of new products that I've been developing. So those of you who have been following me for a while, listen up, which may be interesting for you. So my phone's pinging me. Yes. So just a quick note for those of you who do not know who I am. My name is Lorraine DePire, and I am a dating, love and relationship mentor. I am also a teacher. I'm a coach of many years experience. And I have had two parallel careers. One is in psychology, mindset training, metaphysical training, meditation. All of these techniques I use to help people to achieve what they want to in their lives. And I've also had, and still have actually, a career in the music business and have sung professionally for many years. And that's another whole story, but I won't go into that right now. You can perhaps see my website. Let me just see if I can just quickly show you that. You can go to my website yourselves, actually, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that today. In fact, I'm not even going to show it to you. I'm going to just send it to you, the links. It is a beautiful website, and it has a lot of details about my music career, my background. However, a few years ago, I went back to doing my psychology, and that's what I sort of concentrate on now during the pandemic, and et cetera, et cetera. So I won't go into all of that. But so, okay, let's just talk about what a good relationship is. What is a soulmate? So this is from my own experience, and it is a blissful experience to meet a soulmate, to have a relationship with a soulmate. It can be very challenging. It's very fulfilling. It's very joyful. It's very fun. And in my view, it is one of the most meaningful experiences that we can have as human beings. And I want you to really hear that. We have work, we have, careers, we have responsibilities and trainings and all those sorts of things. To be able to share our lives with somebody is a profound experience. And it is also a profound place for self-development, because whatever issues you have in your life, whatever sort of corners there are of emotional histories or triggers, you can be sure that they will come up in an intimate relationship, in a close relationship. It's the relationship is also the place where we create our children. It's where we create projects. And a good life in a good relationship can touch the lives of many, many other people. And that love between two people gets spread out, that love and happiness. So it's an incredibly important thing to have in your life, in my view. The ebb and flow of a good relationship, I think of like a dance or a good sports match. It never ends. It's stimulating, it's rewarding, it's exciting. And who you choose to get into a relationship with it's one of the most important decisions that you're going to make in your life. And that's why, it frustrates me that sometimes that people do not recognize that if you've been hitting a wall around finding this person, you maybe need to get some help. Just like you went and got training for your career. If you're going to, if you've got a physical problem, you're going to go to a doctor. If you've got a legal issue, you're going to go to a solicitor. If you've got a relationship issue, you go to somebody and you get help. So I like to think of it as rising into love as opposed to falling in love, because I think that the way that we approach a relationship says a lot about the endurance that a relationship will have. Whoops, my desk is now going up and down. I've got my new standing desk here. I love it. Look at this. Isn't it wonderful? It's amazing because it really helps my back, this. But if I touched the controls, it goes down. So finding and maintaining a good relationship takes effort, and it also takes knowledge and experience. And if you don't have a great track record up till now, then I can only encourage you, listen up, take notes, because like learning anything else, if you have the right teacher, it can knock years off the learning process. So in this webinar today, I'm going to summarize some of the ingredients that I have found through my training and also from my own experience that work for both myself and also for the people that come and work with me on their own relationships. And I'm going to put this in the chat because these are the points that we're going to be looking at. And I will send out an email to everybody who stays to the end of this webinar. At the end, I will be sending out an email which will have these points summarized for you. Just put this paste. There we go. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. So number one, commitment. you must be totally committed. You must admit to yourself how important it is for you to find this relationship. And you must be willing to look at and learn from where you have gone wrong in the past, where you are now, and where you want to get to. So let me just ask a question now. I like to ask this question. Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is only a little and 10 is a lot, how much discomfort is your relationship situation creating for you? Or has it created for you? So 1 would be, you know, a little bit, not too much. And 10 is, you know what, Lorraine, actually, it's brought me to my knees. Maybe not just once, maybe not just twice, maybe multiple times, you know, and I just don't seem to be able to get this thing together. So this is your moment to be really honest with yourself. There is nobody else going to see this except me. The chat is on only with the host, but I want to see. Give me a number from 1 to 10. Where are you? How much emotional discomfort is your relationship situation giving you? So, okay, so quite a few, in fact, everybody's coming in, except for maybe one person, coming in at 5s or above. Yeah. And it's important to, yeah, okay, great. Thank you for that. It varies a bit sometimes. Yes, it can do. But overall is what I'm asking for. Overall, in your life, really be honest here, you know, how much emotional discomfort. And I guess also, you know, the other thing too, because I think that sometimes, certainly in my case anyway, this is what happens to me. So off we go into our 20s, and, you know, I'm probably, you know, above average attractive. You know, I'm you know, I'm mature now, but certainly when I was younger, you know, definitely super attractive. Really knew how to. I was a singer. I was a professional singer, so I was right out there. And so, you know, people would take me out. You know, look, I'd get lots of dates. So I, you know, in my early 20s and my sort of mid 20s, of course, I'm like, oh yeah, you know, relationships, no problem. So I get into my late 20s, and, you know, I've had 1 or 2 relationships that have lasted for maybe 1 or 2 years, the longest, but, you know, that's okay. You know, I just wasn't ready. You know, then I get into my 30s, and, you know, I'm kind of looking around now at my contemporaries, and they are all getting into marriages, and a lot of them have actually got kids now, and I'm still on my own. But then I'm still kind of thinking, well, you know, there's plenty of time, there's no rush, you know, you can still have a baby when you're 40 if you want to, and then that goes up. So the time goes by, and then as I got into my late 30s and my early 40s, in fact, I remember that on my 40th birthday, I was so depressed. I was just in the gutter, because at that point, the penny dropped. Actually, you know what, Lorraine? Actually, maybe it isn't all about them. Maybe it's something that's going on in you. You know, maybe that. And at that point, actually before that point, in my sort of mid 30s, I started to reach out for some support and some help, because I began to realize that actually, you know what, it wasn't just that I couldn't find the right man. It was that there was something going on in me that was pushing the potential of a beautiful relationship away. And it took that long for me to, you know, get the kind of help that turned it around. And it did turn around for me. And, you know, I have been able to have very successful relationships since then. But so the commitment is what's important here. You have to be committed to yourself. You know, is this really important for you? Then make it a priority. If you were going to find a new job, you know, you need a new job, then you start, answering, different, ads, you contact recruitment agencies, you redo your bio, your CV, you contact your friends, you get the wheels moving and you get out there and you start to do it. You start to put a lot of energy and effort into finding the right job for you. And this is where a lot of people go wrong with finding the right husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, partner. You don't put enough effort into it. So you meet somebody and you go out for sort of a few months, maybe a year, and it doesn't work out. That's not enough. You need to be meeting a lot of people. If you are in the kind of like late 20s, 30s bracket and you still haven't met anybody, you need to be very, very proactive, because it ain't just going to happen. It's not going to just fall from the sky. Occasionally it does. But you may, and if you're not careful, I don't want you to end up like me at 40, 41. So I don't have any children. I'm fine with that. I've made my peace with it, and I have all of you, actually. I have all my lovely, beautiful people who come to me for help. And there's many ways of having children, and I'm absolutely fine with that. However, it may be something that you do really want to have, or you may already have children from a previous relationship, and you still want that person to share your life. If you're an older person, you're looking for that right companion, so that you can build a life together. But you have to be willing, actually, to put yourself out there, to meet people, to go to meetups, social events, parties, dates, change the way possibly that you dress. This is always a big one with people. I must turn this phone off, actually. It's driving me mad. Butting into me when I'm talking. Quite a lot of the people who work with me, we do a complete makeover. That's for men and women, and a lot of people find that quite challenging. But I've seen too many times people are going out for dates, and I say, okay, what are you wearing then? This is men and women, and they show me what they're wearing, and I'm like, oh god, nuh-uh. So that's one of the things that can happen. And also, people's emotional baggage from previous relationships, from their childhood. You need to be willing to change and to do whatever it takes. And then once you get that right person, you have to be willing to stay in the relationship long enough to understand your patterns and relationships patterns and habits, both good and bad. And quite often for people, there's a decision, that needs to be made. Or is this the right relationship for me, or isn't it? And how long are you going to spend in that decision-making process? How do you recognize the right person for you? This person is the most important person in your life. And if you're not willing to make the process of finding and attracting that person your most important goal, really, then how can you ever expect to have somebody who is your most important, significant other in your life? What is your commitment to achieving this? So let me now ask you this question. On a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is yeah, and 10 is yes, absolutely, Lorraine, I'm totally committed. What is your level of commitment to finding your soulmate? Just put that in the chat, please, a number. What is your level of commitment? Yeah, okay, so we're getting quite a few. All of you are coming in over above 5. I'm wondering why there are so few of you here, because a lot of people have registered for this webinar. I hope there's nothing wrong with the links. There is nothing I can do about it right now. I'll just have to post the webinar somewhere. But you're here, and that's great. So yeah, my experience is, when especially because I speak to a lot of you, a lot of you do, call me, and I have a lot of interaction with you. And, quite often I get this, well, Lorraine, I just need to do X or Y first. I need to finish my studies. I need to write a book. I need to save money to buy a house. I need to sort out my business or get a new job. And the thing that I'm here to tell you is that there is never a right time. There is no, I think I put this in one of my emails to my database. There is never the right time. Just like, with a new job, sometimes, you do not feel like going to work. You do not feel like doing this job. You've got a headache, you've got the flu, and yet you've got to go. You need to go because and this is the level of commitment that I am encouraging people to have in terms of finding the right person for you. Because I meet too many people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s and older who are single and lonely and making do, settling because they never had the courage or never made the time to initiate the relationship that they want. So the attitude is, okay, I'm on my own, they say. Having a relationship isn't all that it's cracked up to be. A person can enjoy their life without being in a relationship. Yes, of course they can. This is actually women probably more than men, because men do tend to, in my experience, men do tend to really, really actually need a relationship, sometimes more than women do. There was an interesting study done on happiness, and it showed that, okay, so the top of the happiness stakes were men and women who were in a compatible relationship. Then next came women who were on their own. They were quite happy. They were sort of moderately happy, I think. But bottom of the list was men who were single. So, oh yeah, so again, even lower actually than people who were in a incompatible relationship. I think men who were single actually, as particularly as men get older, you really love to have somebody in your life. And of course, yes, I'm generalizing. I know about sexuality in men and female, and everybody's different. Of course they are. I'm talking about generalities here. So, forgive me, if you are, if you're a single sex, you want a single sex relationship, okay, fine. Or, you've got other gender thing, that's fine. But the principles of masculine and feminine actually do tend to apply. Even in single sex marriages. Yes, okay, so yes, the person says, oh, having a relationship isn't all it's cracked up to be. And yes, of course, you can enjoy your life without a relationship, I tell everybody. But how much more fulfilling is it? How much more enjoyable is it? How much more satisfying is it to have someone in your life you can trust, who is your partner, who watches your back, who you can share the fun times, the special times in your life with, as well as the pains and the struggles, of course, and have that support. So, for those of you that feel that you are too busy to have a relationship, I would point out that life continues whether you are in a relationship or not. And sooner or later, you're going to need to manage a relationship alongside life's pressures and changes. And the sooner you get into the place of practicing that, because it's a skill, the better. And the quicker you will have a relationship. So very often people have had their trust broken or being hurt in the past. And what we do then, and this was my situation, I'd put up all these imaginary walls because of stuff that had happened in my childhood. And I then had to, very brick by brick, I had to take the walls down and begin to be able to open my heart, because that's what we're looking for. We're looking for you to be able to open your heart. And it takes courage, which is the name of my business, the courage to connect, to face our fears, our previous traumas. And quite often people need a guide to help them move through that post-traumatic stress that can get triggered every time they get near to finding the love that they seek. So how do we clear that emotional baggage, which can, it's almost like a negative magnet every time you get close to the thing that you want? And it's not only to do with relationships, it can be to do with things like money, and it can be to do with anything that you really, really want in your life. As you get close to it, if you're still holding old baggage that hasn't been cleared, as you get close to it, you're like a magnet. You bounce away, and you will find a way to sabotage it. I've seen people do all sorts of ridiculous things, like having serious accidents, getting health conditions, messing up in all sorts of ways. So one of the fastest and most thorough ways that I know to attract a healthy, happy, lasting relationship, a soulmate, is to make sure that you are not carrying any old resentments, grief, anger, or pain towards previous partners, relationships, family members, or even friends and work associates. You need to declutter and clear every dark corner, every negative feeling, every resentment, every jealousy, every bitterness, a bit of cynicism, grief, anger, finger pointing to all your previous, oh, it was them, they did this, they did this, whether romantic, family, or work related. It is crucial to release these feelings. And one way of doing this, which is the way that I do it with the people who come to me and who come to my program, is to do a complete relationship detox inventory. So I'm just going to take a moment here just to have a look that I'm not masking. No, I don't think I am. The people coming in to the meeting, let me just check. Okay, no, we're all right. I wonder whether there's been a mess up on the link. It doesn't matter anyway, because I'll post this probably on YouTube if you want to refer back to it. Okay. So how do we do a detox clearing inventory? Well, there are many ways of doing this, but the way that I like to do it, and I really think it's quite important to do this with, as I say, some kind of a guide or a mentor like myself, is you, first of all, you write down a list. We're not going to do it today. You write down a list of all the people who you do still hold some kind of resentment for, all your previous romantic relationships that have left you with any resentments, anger, jealousy, confusion, or even hatred, revenge, that can be there sometimes. Once you have your list, then there's a process of writing about what happened, what they did, what you did, how it felt, what your part was in each of these situations, and how you would like to have it, the situation, resolved as if it had never occurred. And the bit that's important here is identifying your part. Even if it doesn't seem like it was your fault, that was, it's still a part of you which is attracting. So, we get, sometimes, unfortunately, I do get abuse survivors who come to me for help. And it's like, even like people who were children who got abused. And it's like, okay, well, how can that be my responsibility? And actually, I will say something about this more in a minute, because there is a level of responsibility where everything that happens to us is something that we've contributed to, even if it doesn't seem like that is the case. I won't say more than that about this, but I'll maybe say some more about that later. So once you've got your list, you're going to write about what happened, and then you need to share that with somebody. And this is the bit that hangs people up sometimes, because who is going to listen? When I did this, I had pages and pages. I was into my 40s when I did this. I had my list of people who I had resentments with. It went on and on and on and on. It took me hours and hours and hours to go through all of this, and really understand what my part had been. And it was an amazing experience, and it's really helped me to then go on. It's fascinating, actually, how even though once you start doing healing processes, even though it may not seem like it's doing anything, it actually really is. So it's very important. And it's a way of releasing the pain, the negative emotions associated with each incident, and then also having some kind of higher power, universal intelligence, God, source, whatever you want to call the substance of the universe, that you can call on to be with you in this process, is, for me, also a fundamental part of the whole process. So we do various inventories in my program, which really help people. Now, we're going to move on to number 3. I'm moving fairly fast through these, because each one of these is, a whole course in its own right, actually. But self-care on all levels: mind, body, spirit, and emotions, heart. The spirit, the mind, the body, and the heart too. As long as you are not taking proper care of yourself, then it is likely this will stop you from meeting your ideal partner. There are obvious, very physical things like, poor diet, being overweight, that leads you to feel sluggish or depressed because of lack of exercise, that type of thing. But there are also things like isolating, being lonely on a regular basis, low self-worth, lacking in confidence, finding it hard to trust, having a negative attitude to dating and relationships. You know, there was one woman who's gone on from my program and she's met somebody now, and she was telling me that, yes, I go to all these meetups and everything, but there's never any attractive men that are there, Lorraine. She said, so I thought that's interesting. Okay, well, let's take that thought, shall we? And let's just turn that thought around. So I got her to say to herself that there are lots of attractive men available at the social events that I go to. Say it again and again. There are lots of attractive men at the social events I go to, because her thinking was the complete opposite, that at the social events she went to, there were no attractive men. Just that one little change. Within 3 weeks, she met somebody and she started a relationship. Amazing. It's so powerful. Some of this is like mindset stuff. So the body, diet, physical exercise, not being too stationary in your life, needing to exercise properly better. The mind, looking at your limiting self-beliefs, how you think, learning to think positively while not denying or burying any feelings that you may have. The heart, really, we've talked a little bit about this, but knowing that you releasing any old grievances so that you can open your heart to the beauty of connection with another soul, with your soulmate, and learning to practice that in your life, in your daily life, you know, not being too busy. You know, it's too busy with your business, with your work, with your career. No, you know, even the most wonderful woman, I'm saying, addressing this to men, even the most wonderful woman at a certain point, if you are not able to engage with her, she will leave you. And particularly today, you know, and that's another point I wanted to make, actually. There are different kinds of a relationship. You know, there's the traditional kind of relationship where one person in the relationship is the breadwinner who goes out there, does the work, gets the money, blah, 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 and the other person is at home and does the has the, you know, maybe looks after the children or looks after the home. You know, that model, I mean, it's still alive in some countries of the world, but you know what? It's changing. Certainly in the Western world, it's completely changed. Women today, you know, we want partnership. That's a different kind of model. And there are still, you know, obviously people who, so you need to find the person that is right for you, that is right for your model. You know, if you're a man and you want a traditional wife, then you need to check out when you start to date, particularly if you're dating a Western woman, you need to check out that she's going to be happy to be that role. And the other way around with that too. Spirit, self-care on a spirit level. Here we're talking about gratitude and appreciation for everything in your life, for the people in your life, the work that you do, the life that you lead. We look for taking a spiritual temperature for you. So if I was going to ask you, again, let's just do a little question here. On a scale of 1 to 10, well, 10 is very high and 1 is very low. How would you rate your spiritual temperature? That's your gratitude, your spiritual connection, your appreciation of life. What number would you say you are? Let's just pop that in the chat. Okay, we've got a few people coming in at 8s. That's fantastic. Anybody else? 7s? Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, okay. Oh, well, you're all coming in really high. So that's fantastic, because that actually is the start. If you can fly on that, then you're going to do really well. So, okay, those are, and then lastly, oh yes, okay. Going back to the heart, emotions. So yeah, not isolating, not being lonely, making sure that you have, you know, women, that you have your sister group around you, men, that you have, you know, your colleagues, your peer group, your family, people who you interact with on a regular basis, who you share your life with. You don't have to go necessarily into the details of your life with every person in your support group, but women, we do tend to do that. We tend to have quite open, honest relationships and want to talk and share with other women about what's going on in our lives. Men, it's more like you just need to know that you have your brothers, inverted commas, there. And it helps to keep you grounded so that you can weather the ups and downs of dating, because dating is really up and down. So learning this, that's number 3. Number 4, we're on now, learning strategic dating skills that lead to love. I'm going to say that again. Learning strategic dating skills that lead to love. Now, I'm very happy to tell you that I have just written a book, actually, and it is my 101 Infallible Dating Tips book. So I'm going to tell you more about that in a minute, but it's little tips about, dating, like what you're going to wear, where you look, what you do, what you say, where you meet somebody, all those sorts of things. And it means dating is something that you need to learn. If you have got into your 30s and you've still not met somebody, it may be that you are not dating in the right way. There is a right way to date. There is a right way to develop a relationship. There is a right way to communicate with the issues that come up in the early stages of a relationship, in all the stages of a relationship. There is a right way to maintain a healthy relationship with somebody. And it is crucial that when you start to go out and date, that you follow through the stages of flirting, dating, courting, negotiating, and engagement before trying to get to permanence. And what people very often do is they cut out those stages, some of those stages. And then what happens is that it leads to a lot of pain and a lot of struggle, actually. So learn to listen to how you feel rather than just talking on your first dates with a prospective person. Very important. Listen, tune in. How are you feeling? Do you feel good around that person? How are they feeling, do you think? Be authentic, be yourself, whilst also being aware of the dynamic between the two of you. Don't be afraid of silence. If there is an ebb in the conversation, just allow it and let the conversation naturally arise. That one I found really hard, because you can hear that I am a talker. I love to talk. And so learning to actually stop and listen was one of the big things I've had to learn in relationships, actually, and not being afraid of nothing happening. Because what happens when we do that is that the universe then takes over, and suddenly the conversation comes back. One of you will say something that seems to come from nowhere, and actually it's allowing the universe to kind of step in to lead the conversation. For ladies, as a general thing, we're talking about dating strategies here. So a lot of people will question this, and a lot of women will question this. But if you are the feminine energy in a relationship, let me put it like that, then you need to let the masculine energy lead. That doesn't mean that you're not equal, you're not going to be regarded as equal partner in the relationship. It just is the way that we are built. And I'm not going to go into details about our biology as men and women, but I would just ask you to think of the difference. The woman receives the man leads. So ladies, at the dating stage, let the man lead. Men, or masculine, we're talking masculine and feminine here, be leaders. A feminine woman wants that from you. Wants you to be confident, to take the lead. Do not be afraid to do that. For women, observe how much a man asks about you on a first date, on the first few days. For men, Show your woman that you are interested in them by asking her questions. And that is part of the, receiving. The woman receives, the man projects. And so the woman needs to feel that it is going to be safe to receive you. So she needs to feel that you are going to take care of her. So she needs to be able to, you need to ask her questions. Date several people at the same time to begin with, until you move to the next stage of the dating sequence. And then learn about relationship building skills, like what to say and what not to say at the different stages of a relationship. Starting a relationship is one thing, maintaining a healthy relationship is quite another. Quite a lot of people who come to me because they want to find someone, then move on to the next stage of actually, okay, I found someone now, Lorraine. Now, like, oh God, how do we sort of talk about, this? And, are we going to, he wants me to move in with him. And, what happens then? So one of the biggest realizations, I guess, I had in my struggles when I was struggling was that I didn't have to do it alone, and I was able to reach out to help from psychotherapists, from counselors, from mentors. And what I do is I bring all of those things together under one hat. So I have the psychology background. I also have the healing background. And I also have the metaphysical background, the mindset background as well. And that's what makes me, I like to think, unique in the way that I mentor people. So you can learn a lot, from books and from YouTube and from everything else. Actually, to have somebody who's walking beside you is really, really crucial. So then number 5, I've put down understanding and applying metaphysics. Really what I'm talking about here is your connection with the universe. Einstein is quoting as having said, I love this quote from Einstein, the most important decision we make is whether we believe we live in a friendly or a hostile universe. This is a choice. The universe does not actually want us to suffer. Now, I know this is a really hard thing to take on board, particularly at the moment when we look around our world and we see so much going on, which is suffering. And it's a challenge to move beyond that and understand that this is us as human beings on a learning curve. And we are on a big learning curve right now. And it is very important that there are people like myself and many of my other colleagues who are able to transmit the message to those people who are feeling very low, very down, very despairing about the state of the world, that actually, that there is a place beyond it. We can get so caught up in the present that we forget to remember the future. So this was a big step for me in my healing. I did a lot of psychotherapy when I was going through my troubles, and it took me so far, but there was a bit that was missing. I was still really unhappy. And it was only when I began to understand what I call metaphysics, which is the relationship that we each have with the universe. And I'm not going to go into all of that in too much detail here, just to say that, you can think of it as there is the unconscious, which are the thoughts, feelings, things that we're completely unaware of. There is the subconscious, which is just below the surface. There is the conscious, and then there is the superconscious mind, which is when we connect with the quantum field, universal intelligence. And I'm certainly happy to talk to you more about that if you're interested. So you want to be able to open your mind to all the possibilities in your life. You need to raise yourself to another level of awareness and activate the connection that you have with the superconscious mind and universal intelligence, because that is actually available to all of us. And if you're able to do that, then it's going to make your search for your soulmate much, much quicker. So, okay, I think that is actually a quick summary of the different points that I have to share with you. Let me just ask, see what questions do you have? Let me know, what questions do you have? Okay, let me have a look at the chat here. I haven't looked at it. Very good. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to just share with you a link, actually. Let me find that for you. Okay, here we go. So this is a link. If you have some issues that particularly are going on for you in your life that you would like to discuss with me, then just click on this link, please. You will be taken through to a questionnaire. Answer the questions on that questionnaire, and then I will give you a free coaching call. There's no cost for that. It's a free coaching call. And I also have, just developing now, 2 new products, which I think some of you might find interesting. So the first one is my 101 Infallible Dating Tips ebook. If you are interested in receiving that, just put ebook in the chat now, or send me an email with that ebook, and then I will send you a link so that you can get it. So it's 101 Infallible Dating Tips ebook. yeah. And the other thing that, yes, great, I'll make sure that I send you a link for that. And the other thing that I've also putting the finishing touches to now, which I has really helped me in the past, is, I can see somebody just put some questions, so I'll come back to that, is my, what I call it, my 44-day relationship sadhana. So okay, I'll make sure you get that link. A sadhana is, it's actually, I've taken that term from my yoga practice. It's a practice that we do every day. And so what I've done is I've put together all my best processes and all the things that I've done over the years. And this can be like energy healing things, psychotherapy things, mindset things, shamanic things. I've brought them all together in like a 44-day program, which is just, it's going to be sent out on a daily basis for 44 days. And so that's a product I'm just finishing now. So if that interests you as well, so you have to, it's like a lesson every day. So if that interests you, if you'd like to receive information about that, please put 44 days in the chat now, and I'll make sure you also get a link for that. Very good. Yes. Yeah, it's beautiful. I'm really, really thrilled about this. It's because actually, for me to clear my relationship issues, I had to dig very deeply, and I had to, use a holistic approach, because as I say, the traditional psychotherapy was okay, but it didn't completely do it for me. So I then, used other techniques and ways of healing myself. So, okay, let's just have a look at your questions here. Should a woman wait for a man to bring up relationship talk about exclusivity, or can a woman hit it after having been dating for 2 or 3 months? Yes, absolutely hit it. If you've been dating somebody for 2 or 3 months and it has not yet come up, absolutely, you need to get this sorted out, because otherwise you're in what's commonly called the gray zone, where it's not really clear whether you are in a relationship or you're not in the kind of relationship that you want. So you need to get that sorted out. It's really important, very important to do that. Any other questions, friends? So again, did I put that link in there? Let me just give you that again. So if you want to talk to me, no charge, it's a free call. And what I do is I'll just talk to you and see what's going on for you, and give you some suggestions, some ideas that, if I can help you, if I think I can help you, and if I If I can't help you, then I will point you in the direction of some things that may be able to help you. And also, there is my 101 Infallible Dating Tips book, which is an ebook. If you're interested in that, put 101 ebook in the chat. And if you're interested in the 44-day relationship sadhana, then put 44 days in that. So somebody's asking me about dating with disability. That's a good question. Thank you for asking it. It's always about the essence of the person that's important. So the way that we feel about ourselves, you can think of, okay, let's just think of Stephen Hawkins, for example. I'm not sure if he's still alive, actually. Is Stephen Hawkins alive? Anybody know? Is he still alive? Incredibly disabled, really, really. But, he found not only one woman in his life, he found two, because he was a remarkable human being. I think he may have passed away, yes. And there's plenty of examples of people who, have disabilities and they find love. I've known plenty of people, actually. So your job is, and I'm not saying that it is easy, because there's many ways in which you can have disabilities. Like I kind of realized through my process of psychotherapy and all those sorts of things, as I've described earlier today, actually, I had an emotional disability, and it was so interesting because I went to New York. I can't remember why I was there. Maybe it was a holiday, actually, and I got to know these people who had real disabilities, outside disabilities. One of them was blind completely. The other one had a weight problem and could hardly walk. But their heart was so open. They were married together, these two, and I got very close to them. And as we got close, I began to realize, gosh, these two people, they've actually got disabilities on the outside that you can see. But I was carrying a disability on the inside, which was actually just as chronic. And this was before I started doing my healing work. And that they were actually quite instrumental in helping me. They introduced me to a spiritual practice, which I did. So what I'm saying here is that it's the essence of a person. It's the vibration of a person. And all the things that I've talked about, in this webinar today are the things which you can do to raise your vibration so that you do become attractive and interesting to potential soulmates. Okay, yes. So Stephen Hawkins passed away. Okay, great. Yeah. So, okay, so I put in the chat the link if you want to have a chat. I put in the chat a link to chat with me, for which there is no charge. And that's where I can talk to you about what's going on for you and see if I can help you. And I've also told you about the 101 Infallible Dating Tips, my new ebook, which some of you have put 101 in the chat, and I'm going to send you a link for that. And I've also told you about my 44-day relationship sadhana, which I'm just putting the finishing touches to now, which is going to be like a daily lesson for 44 days. It's just totally beautiful. And yeah, just one very important thing before I go, please go to Meetup or Facebook or wherever you've come in to see this. And if you feel that I've been able to help you today, just give me 5 stars, just make a comment. It was Lorraine's webinar was brilliant, because it really helps to get the message that I'm wanting to put over to a wider audience. They see that and then they will come too, because a lot of people need support and help right now. And with the kind of things that that are going on for us in our world right now, actually partnership, having somebody in our life that we can count on, is a really important thing that will help strengthen us and deal with things. Okay, great. So some nice comments from you all coming in. That's lovely. Thank you very much. I'm glad it's been helpful for you. Very good. Yes. Okay. Well, do chat to me then. Chat to me. Yes. Okay, great. All right, I'm going to sign off, folks. Thank you again for being here today. Lovely to have you all with me.